welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, please like and turn the notification bell on to be notified when I post. So this video is going to be my birth story. So I asked on Instagram what you wanted to see, my birth story or my experience as a first time young mum, and you all wanted to see my birth story, so let's go. Okay, so Mila was due the 17th of September and I was actually booked in for a sweep on that day. I don't know what a sweep is, Google it, because I'm not going into too much information on here. But yeah, so I went in on the Thursday to have my sweep and I was already 1 centimetre dilated. So she was like, you're already a centimetre. They done the sweep and that night I started having pains. So that night I started having contractions. They weren't strong ones, but they were still contractions. So I actually did start going into labour on my due date. Just for the record, she wasn't born till the Monday and this was the Thursday. I had the sweep and I started having contractions, but I slept Thursday night. They sort of went through the night, and then Friday I had them in the morning and I was actually going to have my hair done. And I was like, I've got contractions, surely I'll be okay. So I was literally full-blown contractions and I went to get my hair done because I was like, oh, they're not that close together, you know, I'll be fine. I'll add in there, my hairdresser is my sister-in-law, so it was okay, and it's her salon. So I mean, if I went into labour, probably right there, at least it's family. So I went and had my hair done, and when I was sitting there, I was like timing the contractions and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, I hope my hair's not going to be long because these are getting quicker and quicker and quicker. So when I left, I phoned the midwife and then she came out to check, but she didn't get out till about 5 and I phoned her like 1. And she came out to check and I was still 1 centimetre. And I felt as if I was like 10 already. The pain. I don't know if I felt the pain worse because I didn't expect it to be that bad. I was just like, oh, it's just like period pains. It's not. It's not. The midwife came out and it's still 1 centimetre and she was like, you know, by the way my contractions were coming while she was here and she like felt my belly and it felt tight. She was like, I can't imagine I'll be coming to see you tomorrow. You'll more than likely go in tonight. So I was like, all right, okay, great, fab, thank you. So I tried to eat and my contractions got so bad. I was crying. I was wailing. Like, Care was laughing because I literally sounded like a mix between a wolf, a dog and a hoover with the noises I was making. So I was in agony. So imagine having those contractions, being in agony, but also like laughing because I actually found it hilarious when they were copying me. Because at this point, my mother and my sister were here as well. And it was just got to the point where it was so bad. So we went back down. So we went down to the hospital and I went in and got obviously another sweep done because I was still only 2 centimetres. I was like, what the hell? I got to get a 4 centimetres. And I was like, I'm only at 2. So I was crying on the way home and I was using the TENS machine on my back, and honest to God, that thing was a lifesaver. I don't know what I would have done without it. I was in agony driving home. Not that I live in a small town near Carmarthen, but it's still like a 20-minute drive. So that 20-minute drive to Carmarthen Hospital with contractions in a van, I was in agony. Like, it was not good. Horrible. We called to McDonald's by the time I got home. This was the Friday then. No, this was Thursday night. So by the time I got home, they like sort of calmed down a little bit. Saturday then, I woke up and they were like just like 1 every 10 minutes and they weren't even that bad. And I was like, what is going on? How have they gone from being so intense and so close together to basically non-existent, 1 every 10 minutes? And the whole of Saturday was like that. I went for a walk around a little lake that we live by. We were like, I was able to eat, and then that night I couldn't sleep all night because they were coming every 10 minutes, but they started getting so strong, so I was having like 9-minute naps in between. So I was bloody shattered. Then we got to Sunday, and Sunday I was like, I've still not got anything major. And then it got so bad. Within a space of an hour, I went from basically like 10 minutes between my contractions. They were like bearable, still obviously not great, but bearable, to in agony. I couldn't cope much longer. I said to Claire, I was like, I need to go to the hospital. I need pain relief. I can't do this. I kept screaming to him, what have you done to me? Poor boy, pity. Like, she could stay another week. No, she couldn't. She needed to come out, but that's what it felt like. We ended up going down the hospital. They check you. You're still 2 centimeters. I was like, that's not possible. Like, I don't care what medical studies you've got and that you've checked. That's not right. I cannot be still 2 centimeters when I am in this much pain. Got sent home again, and I was like, oh my God. And from the time I got sent home from the hospital, I was crying the whole way home in the van, because I was just like, I just want pain relief. And they were like, you know, you can take paracetamol. And I was like, what the hell is paracetamol going to do for this? Keep using the TENS machine. I was like, that doesn't even feel like it's working anymore on my back. So I came home, I had like a bath and things, and it was just horrendous. I just like was in so much pain, and I was exhausted, because like you have broken sleep, and this has been going on since like Thursday. So I was in absolute agony. I ended up in my bra knickers, and I was just walking around my living room, and they would come in literally like 2 minutes to 1 minute, and they were lasting like 90 seconds. But when they would come in, I've never felt anything like it. It was horrendous. Sorry if you're watching this or you're pregnant, you know, you'll be fine, because you just do it. And now I actually can't remember the pain. I sound like a really like negative Nelly here, but you know, I'm being honest, telling you my experience. Because I'd been so long in labour, my brother, his girlfriend and daughter like called to see if everything was right, and they must have called at the worst time possible. I was crying, I was screaming, I was like running round, and I was like, oh my God, I was in so much pain. But I didn't want to go back to the hospital. And the reason why I didn't want to go back was because I am a baby in hospitals anyway. I don't like being in hospitals, let alone having to stay there on my own. So I knew if I'm not 4 centimeters this time, and they say you can stay in, and I'm got to wait in this other room before going on to like the labour ward, Care's not going to be allowed in, and I'm going to be in there on my own in this agony. So I was like, I'd rather stay at home as long as possible, because at this stage, because I'd been back so many times and I'd hardly like dilated, I was like, no, I'm not going back yet. But it got to the point I was stressing myself out so much. I was crying, I was in agony. Kev phoned the hospital, and he was like, look, she needs to come in, she needs meds. Like, this girl is in pain, she's stressing herself out, she's stressing the baby out. So they asked to speak to me, and he was like, you're not going to get a word out of her. So I put the phone by my ear, and I literally couldn't talk because I was crying and I was in pain and I was having contractions. And they were like, yeah, just bring her down. So went back down, the same nurse was there. I was still 3 centimeters. So I just hit 3 centimeters. I might have even still been 2, I can't remember. But I remember I hadn't moved. And she was like, you know, it is looser than it was. So, you know, you are moving in the right direction. I was like, I can't take it anymore. So they said that I would stay in, and I could either have codeine or I could have pethidine. So I didn't really have a birth plan. Like, I just sort of knew I wanted a natural birth, and that was it. Like, whatever happened, happened. But one thing I always said is I do not want pethidine, because I just read up about it and I said it could make the baby like drowsy and things. But I was in such agony. I said to her, which one is going to work the best? And she was like, the pethidine. And I was like, put it in me. I don't care. Put that needle in my leg. I had pethidine whilst I was waiting to get to 4 centimeters. Once you hit 4 centimeters, you can go to labour ward, you can go to the upstairs ward if you're having like epidural and things, and your partner can then come in. So I was care waited in the car park outside in the van. I made sure I put the iPad in there with films on, so he was like watching films. But I FaceTimed him the whole time. And after the pethidine, oh my God, I was out of it. I felt like I was slurring my speech. Like, it just makes you out of it. The pain wasn't going. I could still feel the contractions. I was just like literally like this, like out of it. Okay, I was like, just turn your phone off, go to sleep. I was like, no. Kept it on FaceTime. I was just completely, I don't really remember this period because it was just insane. I've never felt like that in my life. But then as the pethidine was wearing off, I remember getting up to go to the toilet, and when I say the contractions that I was feeling that were bad, that was making me cry, obviously I was feeling the contractions while I was having the pethidine, but I was out of it, so you don't really like know what's going on. When that pethidine wore off and those contractions came, like that was like 4 solid hours that I was in there on the pethidine, that I wasn't feeling the full like thrust or whatever you want to call it of the contraction. Like I wasn't feeling that full pain. I was still feeling it, but not as bad. So when it wore off, it was like literally 0 to 100. I was like, what the hell is going on? I didn't know where I was. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So they checked me. I was 4 centimeters, and as they checked, my waters had broken, and I was 4 centimeters. They were like, tell your partner to come in. So I was just sitting on the bed. They were like, what do you want for pain relief? Epidural, please. Put it in my back. I don't want to feel a thing. I've had enough. Get it in me. They were like, it'll still take a while till you have it. And I was like, what the hell? I was like nearly crying. Like, I've waited this whole time for an epidural. Yeah, so Care came in with all the bags, and I was just sitting on the bed, like out of it, like what the hell is going on? Somebody was putting like a catheter, whatever it's called, in my hand because I had to have the epidural. I would have to be attached to drips. The gas and air was coming in, but I didn't like the gas and air. It was making me feel sick. But they were like, do the gas and air every time we do a contraction. And I was just, every time I was taking the gas and air, it was just like, afterwards, and Care just thought it was hilarious. And I was like, it's really not funny. So then I got taken in the lift upstairs because I couldn't go to labour ward because I wanted an epidural. And I went in. So I was still on the gas and air at this point. I went upstairs, I was still on the gas and air. So waiting for the anaesthetist to come up to do the epidural, to get plugged into the drips and things. So, the epidural. I was actually so scared because everyone's like, the needle's so big, it goes in your spine, like if you move you can be paralysed, all of these things, it can go wrong. But I was in so much pain, like I was worried whilst I was pregnant. I was like, maybe you know, I will not do it with an epidural. Maybe I'll just do it naturally. I'll cope with the pain, because what happens if this and what happens if that? Oh, I can't have an epidural. When you're in that position, I would have put that needle in the back myself. Like, no joke. Put the needle in the back myself. If the cyst came up, you have to like sign a form, obviously read all the side effects and things. And I had to sit on the edge of the bed. Care was in front of me. And I had to have the gas in there. If I had a contraction, it was like, you just don't move. Tell the anaesthetist if you're having a contraction, because they stop what they're doing until it's passed. So I was sitting there, and the first time I didn't feel anything because they put like general anaesthetic, so you're numb. So I didn't feel a thing, and they done it, and they were like, it can take about 10 minutes to work. You have a button, you just keep pressing every 20 minutes, and then it keeps you numb. And what I didn't know, I'm a first time mum, maybe I'm just dumb, but I did not know you are only numb like halfway of your legs and like to like here under your breasts. I thought you're just numb, but you're not. I could feel my feet. I could feel my shins. I just couldn't feel like that area on my stomach where the contractions were, which is just crazy. I didn't know that. But yeah, so carrying on. I had it. I was laying there, and within 10 minutes she said I should stop needing the gas in air and the epidural will start working. So like 20 minutes has passed and I'm still like sucking on this gas in air, and I'm like, I thought this would be working by now. So the anaesthetist came in and said that I had to have it taken out and put back in. Something I will add is Care told me the needle's not even that big. Okay. He said, Kelly, the needle's actually not that big, because he knew that was something I was worried about. So after I had it done, he was like, the needle was big. So now I'm sitting on the bed thinking, this needle is big, because he's just told me, thinking that I didn't have to have it done again. And I was just like, oh my God. You could just see, he was like, but anyway, it had to be done. So I had it done the second time. And I did sort of feel like going in this time, and one of my side, because it can happen, one of my side was like number than the other. So I had to lay on a certain side to help it like equal out. But I will never give birth again without an epidural. Hands down, would never do it. That thing was the best thing I ever did. After that, I was just so chill. I was laying just waiting then to get 10 centimetres to push. One thing I will say, I didn't eat. So I didn't eat and I'd hardly slept. So the epidural was good to try and get some sleep in. But I was so weak, like, because this was the Sunday night. Early hours Monday morning. And I've been in labour since Thursday. It was really long. Trying to eat, but the only thing I could eat was the little 10 cal jellies, sugar-free, which I didn't really think, why would you buy sugar-free, isn't it? When you're going into birth, you probably need a bit of sugar. But anyway, we move. Care slept, I slept, and then I was told then I was 10 centimetres at like, it must have been 12. I was told it was 10 centimetres, but when you have the epidural, they want your body to do most of the work for you, so they make you wait 2 hours afterwards. Missed out a huge part. I had a spike in my temperature in the night. I had to go on like a drip for antibiotics or something, and my temperature spiked just before I started pushing, so they weren't really sure what was going on. I also had a panic attack. Oh, gosh, so dramatic. I had to wait 2 hours before pushing, but the woman checked me again, the midwife, sorry, and she was like, it's been an hour and 50 minutes, like, you are ready to push. So she was like, let's just do it. Let's just push. So I started pushing, and, you know, I thought Care would, like, be standing this side of me, like, oh, what the hell is going on? Oh, no. He was stood with the midwives, watching the baby come out, pushing my legs. Like, come on. And I was like, I just didn't expect it from him. I don't know why, but he was, like, amazing. I just did not expect that from him. He really did a good job. Really, really good job. I started pushing, and then my heart rate had spiked, so it was going really high. So the midwife went to get the anaesthetist in and said, like, her heart rate spiked, but she's pushing really well, so, like, we don't really want to take her in. So the anaesthetist had to stay in the room then to monitor my heart rate while I was pushing, and I pushed her out in 20 minutes, and they told me it'll more than likely take 2 hours, and I think I was so tired, and I just had enough. She was coming out. So weak. I literally only held her for literally about 2 minutes, and then Care had to have her because I couldn't hold her. I felt like out of it. I felt like I was going to faint. I did tear, so I had to be like stitched up, which that part is not as bad as I thought at all. Genuinely, that was like one of my fears, and there's nothing to fear. I lost a lot of blood, so I got stitched up. They couldn't find where the blood was coming from, so after all of that, there was talks then about me going into surgery for them to find where this blood was coming from after they stitched me. And I was like, I don't want to be cut open. Like, I've just pushed this baby out, you know, on my own, naturally. And now I'm going to have to go into bloody surgery. But luckily the other anaesthetist came in, and she was like a bloody wizard with a stitching. And then I stopped bleeding, and she was like, found it, done. You know what was worse as well? They were wearing glasses to do the stitches, so I could literally see the reflection in the glasses. And I was like, so Care had Mila, and she came out, and bless her, because she had been like engaged for so long. She was so squished. Like, her face was so squished, her nose, everything. She looked like she'd been in like 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, the poor girl. And yeah, so she came out. We had about 2 hours, I would say, together in the room, and then I had to go on to the natal ward, I think it was, and Care had to go home. I don't know, I just felt horrendous. Like, you've just been through that whole experience. Care wasn't there. I was having to look after this brand new baby on my own because Care wasn't there as well, so it was literally just thrown in the deep end. And also I'd had the epidural, so I still wasn't steady on my feet, and I felt like I couldn't walk. I hadn't eaten, and I couldn't eat because I just felt so sick. So it was just, I just felt like, oh my God, I need help. And sometimes, like, me, as the first time I was in a ward with like other mothers who had children, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to seem like a failure. So I didn't even ask the midwives for help. I just like literally got her up on my own and fed her. Which now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, how silly are you? Like, those women wouldn't have judged you. They've been in that position before. And the midwife, that's what they're there for, to help you. So Care came back down to the hospital to get me at about 11 o'clock. And we came home with little Mila Mai. So I was actually able to spend my first night as a family, not on my own in a hospital. Like, I was able to be with Care, I was able to be with Mila, and not that night, Care literally done the feeds. He made sure she was fine. Anytime she cried, he sorted her out so that I could sleep and I could rest. Whereas if I was in hospital, I would have been doing that on my own. And I know you have the help of midwives, but it is different. That is my birth story. It's quite dramatic, to be honest with you. It was a long labour, so I think that made everything heightened. Like, everything felt harder, everything felt worse, because it was just such a long period. I mean, that's Thursday to Monday, because she was born at 1:56 on the 21st of September on the Monday in Glangwili Hospital. One thing I will say to any pregnant mamas now, with your first child or without, you know, you're having a baby in a pandemic, the midwives are hands down the best support. Like, I'm not just saying this, like, you could feel like, oh, they're not my family though. No, they're not your family, and it is different, but they are so nice, they are so understanding, they are there for everything. They know what we're going through, like, they know how hard it is to do on our own, so they go above and beyond to make sure you feel fine. Yeah, if you are pregnant and you are due to have a baby during this pandemic, like, you will be fine, you will find the strength, and you will just push on. It's horrible, it's not nice. Your partner can't be there for certain times and things like that, and that's one of the things that worried me and stressed me out. And now I look back at how stressed I got about the thought of going in full-blown labour, mind, like, the thought of going into hospital too early just in case Care can't be with me, how stressed out I got. I was actually stressing the baby out too. So you just have to, like, afterwards I was like, oh my gosh, nothing would have changed. I couldn't have changed anything. No amount of tears I cry, no amount I complained about it, I could not change the rules. So I just wish I just got on with it, and that was that. But you live and you learn. Hopefully, you know, you mamas will have the best experience ever, because it is an amazing time and the best moment of my life when my little girl was born. But yeah, so that's my dramatic birth story. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or anything about birth during a pandemic, feel free to message me on Instagram. It's _KellyJade. I'd be happy to answer any questions or just give you some support, because it's a hard time for us mamas. And not only that, like, first time mamas who have already had babies, like, it's a hard time being stuck in lockdowns and things with a baby. So my messages are always open and I'm always here for a chat. Hope you enjoyed. My next video will more than likely be my skincare routine, because that's what you guys said you wanted to see. If you enjoyed this video, please like, and again, please subscribe, because it will help me all the world, and I will speak to you soon.